Yo, what's up guys? We're doing something a little bit different this week. We're gonna do a pre-fight breakdown of UFC 314, Volkanovski versus Lopez. We're of course gonna cover that fight. We're gonna talk about Silva versus Bryce Mitchell. It's really hard for me to talk about Bryce Mitchell without laughing now, just due to his current situation. And then we're gonna do Yair versus Pitbull, which I think is a really interesting fight. It's gonna be the first time that Pitbull fights in the UFC, which is gonna be awesome. The video is sponsored by Aries, of course. Hey, also, we got some really stupid vlogs going on. They're called Cory Stupid Vlogs. I had a ton of fun shooting all of them. I think that they're pretty funny. I think that they kind of capture a side of my character or my personality that I think you guys will find a little bit interesting. We got some Sandman merch on the website. Link is going to be below. Use code MAY3, M-A-Y-3, for 15% off. Let's crack into the breakdown. Peace. All right, guys, cool. So the first fight that we're going to go over is Silva versus Bryce Mitchell, okay? Silva obviously has a ton of momentum behind him in the UFC. He's doing really well. I think he's 4-0 or 5-0 or something right now. So he's an amazing fighter. Me and Trevor talk about him all the time, about his stance and how he stands. So that'll be the first thing that we talk about. All of those fight nerd dudes are really good in the way that they stand and the way that they move, but they blend a really, it never looks like corny, I guess. I don't really know what type of words to use for kind of like a corny style. Could be like my older style that I used to do, where it's just like over movie. It's really touch play. There's no like really significant like danger of anything ever happening. But the Silva guy, the way that he stands is he's a really good mover. He stays back on his back leg. Me and Trevor talk about this a lot with those guys. All of the fight nerds kind of do this. They stay back on their back leg like this instead of being kind of one of these kickboxers that's heavier on the front leg. When I'm heavier on the front leg, I can really throw big power on my lead hand like this, and I can really chop hard with low kicks, kind of that like Dutch style, Brazilian style. The fight nerds fight a little bit back here, like this, okay? What this does for me is it makes me hard to hit because my head isn't forward, it's a little bit further back. And because my leg is so loaded, I can really launch with my backhand here like this, which they're really good at, okay? So Silva's stance is built to move when you're a little bit back like that. It's built to press because your head is back, it's not forward like this. And I'm able to throw really big power on my backside, and I can kind of throw some decent power on my lead side too, if I could time it right, okay? One thing that I really like about Silva big time too is when he stays back on this leg, he does a really good job with his weapon choice. Like he has really good kicks, he has really good punches, and then he's one of the very few guys too that know what range to be in order to land their elbows too. You saw this a lot when he fought Jourdain. You saw this a lot when he fought Drew Dober. He really just knows his range really well, and he's able to mix up the weapons, which is really good on him, okay? Another portion of that, him fighting Bryce Mitchell, when he fought Jourdain, he did get taken down a couple times, but he did show that he knows how to be powerful in his body. So some people get taken down, they kind of fall over, and then they stay on their back like this. Silva knows how to stay on his side big time. He even got up really good against Jourdain on like a headlock where he just powered his hips up and built himself up like this, which was really good. I really like that about Silva. You could tell that this dude just knows how to make power in his body. He can get taken down and then land on his side, power himself up into spots instead of, there's like a aesthetic to it, like a weak, you know, kind of get up. He knows how to make big power in his body and get his hips out like that. So that's really good, and that's going to be really important fighting Bryce Mitchell because Bryce Mitchell is, of course, a really good wrestler. He was able to take Topuria down a number of times. But what Bryce Mitchell doesn't do that well is kickbox. He kind of has this like Arkansas stance where his like ass is kind of out, and he's a little bit like this. This is kind of like that southern draw type of stance, like I'm about to fight you behind the trailer park style of fighting. So there's not a lot of power behind that. You can move kind of good, but it looks more like a wrestling stance with my butt out and I'm here like this, ready to shoot, than it does a kickboxer stance or a boxer stance. So the big thing in this fight, I think, is going to be Silva making sure that he can press Bryce Mitchell. When he does get taken down, he does a great job of standing up, pressing, not looking tired, even though he just did really powerful movements in order to get himself up. Pressing and then winning that way, I think, is highly likely. And then Bryce Mitchell, if he wants to win, he's going to need to take this guy down. This type of stance is fine, but there's not a ton of like power and crack. I can't move my feet very good when my butt is way out like this. So that's I think what that fight is going to look like, but I don't really like making predictions and saying who's going to win because a fight's fight and anything can happen in that one. But yeah, comment below if you guys want more breakdowns on that type of stuff. So the next fight that we're going to talk about that I am really curious to see about this one is Pitbull versus Yair, okay? Yair, you guys are probably really familiar with. Pitbull, on the other hand, is coming from Bellator, PFL, or whatever the promotion is called. He's coming into the UFC, so I don't know how familiar you guys are with this guy, but he's very, very good. He's all around. He knows how to wrestle. He knows how to do jiu-jitsu, and he knows how to strike, okay? His striking style, though, is pretty that like Dutch Brazilian style that I was talking about, where it's a little bit, it's not back here, it's a little bit heavier on the lead, not like crazy, stupid heavy, but a little bit here, and he plants and he keeps a really high guard with his body really shown to him, okay? He's not super bladed like this, he's a little bit more here like this. When I stand more like this, I have access to both of my weapons really fast. When I'm a little bit more bladed, my lead is gonna be really quick, my right is gonna be more my power. But Patricio Pitbull stands a little bit square, kind of like this style of, you know, Dutch or Brazilian kickboxing that you kind of see, okay? That's the way that he strikes. He can wrestle, of course, too. He's very good there. But the way that he strikes is he kind of wants people coming in. And I think that that's going to be his plan against Yair, because Yair is a darty guy. He's really, really good at being a mover, okay? A mover is someone that I consider to float on the ground here like this, keep space really good, open space, closes space. Yair is really good in all of those ways. So that's going to be a challenge for Pitbull. Pitbull just being one of these guys here like this. I think Yair is going to be able to dance around, pick at him. I think that he's going to do a lot of picking in this fight. And then like Yair does, try to land some really hard stuff later in the fight. The closest fight that we kind of had of a Pitbull versus a Yair is going to be a Yair versus Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett was really planted. He was swinging really big. I think he got a takedown. I don't think he cracked him and knocked him down, but he got a takedown against Yair. Yair plays jiu-jitsu, which in modern MMA isn't maybe, in my opinion, the best idea to do. You're kind of putting a lot of eggs in your basket and you're taking a pretty big gamble of being like, okay, I'll lose this round as long as I think that I can get a submission. You better be pretty damn good at jiu-jitsu if that's going to be your game plan, which at the high level, I think very little guys are. Not that they're not good at jiu-jitsu, but like in comparison, you have to be like this good at jiu-jitsu versus this good. And at the high levels, it's like not that big of a difference. So that's going to be a challenge for Pitbull, is all of Yair's motion. If Yair gets taken down, I think he needs to try to get back up immediately, go back to being darty Yair and just scoring from the outside. So I think that that's going to be the key to victory for Yair, being point scory, being darty, because Pitbull kind of just wants to stand and wait for you to come in, and he's a shorter guy. So it's going to be very difficult for him to do. If you're Pitbull, I would try to take Yair down, hope that he plays jiu-jitsu off of his back and just win some rounds like that. All right, cool, guys. The last, obviously, one that we're going to do is Volk versus Lopez, okay? Volk style, all right? Volk's a mover. He keeps his arms way out like this. It's a really good idea just being a shorter guy sometimes to kind of have this kind of longer guard. Volk leaves his head really far away, and he kind of pokes at stuff. He'll use the lead hand to set up his rear hand. He kicks a lot with the lead hand here, but he stays really, really far away, which is good on Volk, okay? Really smart to do, I think, in MMA if you're a shorter guy. There's, of course, this character of shorter guy where I can, like, press and march my way in, but you're going to get hit a lot of times like that usually. And with those small gloves, there's not a lot of glove to cover up your face. In boxing gloves, you have more space that you can cover, so you can get away with marching people down. In the smaller ones, there's not as much glove there, so you can get hit. There's just not as much cover. So being a shorter guy and kind of being longer like this, like Volk, is good. he does leave his body a little bit open and he leaves his lead leg open, but Lopez isn't really the biggest kicker in the world, so I don't know if he's going to add that to his game or not, but if he does want to take advantage of these kind of longer arms, he's got to go to the body a lot and go to the leg a lot, which I don't know if he's going to do or not. I guess we'll see. Volk also, just to be, really candid, is the way more polished guy. Okay, if you watch Volk's fights versus Lopez's fights, Lopez hasn't fought like the level of competition that Volk has, obviously. Lopez gets hit a lot more than Volk does, and Lopez's attacks are like super clean, really hard, and the dude fights like with the heart of a champion, but he's a lot less polished. So he's going to need to utilize that heart of a champion if he's going to try to beat a Volk who also has a heart of a champion. So it'll be really interesting to see if those things kind of cancel each other out. But Lopez has a style where he's really square. He drops into right hands like the way that he caught Ortega. Boom, drops into right hands. Throws really good left hooks off of shots too. So his boxing is amazing. He moves really good. Like I said, he has the heart of a champion, but he gets hit a lot. Like, he's really accessible if you watch his Contender fight, if you watch some of his other fights. It's not a lot of like head movement like this. It's more dropping into hard shots that make his head move, where I think he'd have a little bit more success if he had this style, pulled his feet, rocked both ways, and kind of manipulated space a little bit more with his head, or at least hid his target a little bit better, instead of just kind of walking people down, waiting for a moment to drop into really hard punches, which has worked for him in the past, but Volk is a really long guy like this, leaves his head really far away, and that's kind of a difficult ask if you have that Lopez style versus Volk. So without rambling too much, I think that Lopez kind of has his hands full in this one, but the dude has the heart of a champion, like I said, and I think that makes it a close and interesting fight. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of wrestling. If there is, I mean, Lopez is good off of his back, but like I already discussed, modern day MMA, kind of a good idea. It's hard for me to imagine Volk getting submitted. So yeah, that's the breakdown. Like, subscribe, comment. Peace. I love you guys. Bye.